Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hello and welcome. Welcome to another WikiTree Week Wednesday livecast.
Yay!
Woohoo! So, yes, welcome. I'm joined by Azure and Aowen, the Forest Elf.
Woohoo!
Yay, Aowen.
Wow.
This is bonus, except unfortunately, wait, let me just change that right now. And Aowen, the Forest Elf. There we go. Now it is accurate.
All good.
Yeah, so this is great. I hope you've been all having a wonderful Wednesday and a wonderful WikiTree week following a wonderful symposium. And kudos to Aowen and Azure who put together so much work to get that symposium off the ground. And Aowen, I think you were the primary person who was contacting the speakers and stuff.
To get them lined up, yeah, just do the scheduling. Azure did the, we did those promo videos with them for the countdown.
Those were a lot of fun.
Azure does all the graphics, so we're a super duo.
You are a super duo. That is indeed.
That's why she's my wiki buddy.
Oh yeah, well, it's great working with you two, and you guys have done a wonderful job here. So that's fantastic. So someone came, I think it was Aowen who came up with the idea that we should do a whole session just on mapping. And you know what? I love a good map, as you might expect. So we will go through a bunch of things, and so basically I've got a plan. So let me just go into, I've got a plan, but the plan is subject to change. So here we are. This is basically we're going to go on a world tour through WikiTree.
Yay!
So excited.
Yeah, so we're going to start out simple. We're just going to talk about locations on profiles and something very basic. But I mean, I say it's basic, but really, if you don't have the right locations on the profiles, then none of the rest of this actually works right. So it's really important that we get the right locations there. So that's why I'm starting off with there. And then there's a bunch of tree apps that are map related or location related or have aspects to it. So I've got the list of there's 5 of them that we're going to visit today, starting with the WikiTree Plus maps. But then Ancestor Cemeteries and Heritage Charts are 2 brand new apps that just came out with Hacktoberfest. And the CC7 Views and the Fan Chart also have things that you can do with locations. So we'll touch on those. And then there's a standalone app for cemetery mapping.
And OPS.
What's that?
And there's an OPS map too.
And right. We'll have to add that to the list too. and then we will end our tour with WikiTree Plus for all those cool features that are in there as well. So
I'm so excited.
That is the plan for the tour. And so that is the last of my slides. Because the rest of it, we're just going to go through and do a bunch of different things. Awesome. And we're going to use some WikiTree profiles and examples, mostly from my family, because that's where I know the locations and where they're from. But anyways, here we are. After how many presentations, I finally remembered to put myself in public view, private view, so it anonymizes people who are.
Yeah.
Luckily, my siblings and my children know that and are fine with me giving out their names, because none of them are people that we know of, or at least aren't admitting it, so they're fine. That, but I will try and remember to do that in the future. But anyways, here we are. We're going to go up a few levels. Anyways, so here we are. This is my mother who has passed away, my birth mother. And you can see on her profile, there's her birth date and location, the same, her death date and location. Let me just make that a little bit bigger. As well as now, marriage date, we don't have a specific location there. So, but besides each of those, you'll notice that there's this little it looks like a little pin, and it is a pin because if you click on it, it'll automatically take you to Google Maps. So if you've got an actual recognizable location, you click on that pin, it'll open up in Google Maps and take you exactly to that location. So she was born in a little town called Nedelec, which is in Quebec. And in fact, let me zoom in here a little bit. Where are we here? There we go. There's Nedelec right there. Can you see where my cursor is circling?
Uh-huh.
And you see this dotted line that's going up and down?
Yep.
That is the Ontario-Quebec border. So it is just over the border in Quebec. And
Wow.
Right
yes. Isn't that wild? So now her parents, or her mother, grew up in Nedelec, and her father grew up in Belle-Vallée over here on the Ontario side of the border. So the two of them, and I mean, you can, like, I mean, there's a border there, but there's not a fence, there's no wall, like, so, and see, it's just land. There's not even a river separating the Ontario to the Quebec border. So it's pretty free ranging. So it's not surprising that they met each other, right? The French community there. This whole region is actually called Témiscamingue, or Témiscamingue en français. And with a Quebec or Northern Ontario accent, it sounds really nasal. Témiscamingue. So, but anyway, so there's the Quebec Témiscamingue and an Ontario Témiscamingue area, but that's where they came from. And if I zoom out on the map, there it is up here. And then they eventually traveled down to Toronto because my grandmother had, I think it was polio, and she had to go into a sanatorium to get healed, and they didn't have any of those facilities up north. So that's how the family eventually moved to the Toronto area and whatnot. So a little bit of history there, but that's, anyways, the point was, you click on the map, you click on a point, and you get to the map. Now here, she died in Toronto, and if I click on that, it's not going to give a very precise location. It's going to say Toronto, but Toronto, as you can imagine, is just a large thing. Just like if you put New York City, you know, the pin's going to be in the center of the city, or sometimes Google Maps uses wherever the city hall is located as the marker. So if you were giving more precise locations, then if Google Map recognizes those areas, those get used as well. And likewise, there haven't been able to find an actual marriage record for my birth parents. So, but I do know they were married in Ontario. So that's the location that's mentioned there. So that's pretty general. So, you know, that's why precision actually is helpful in location. So first message then is, you know, be as precise as you can be in the location fields. We always use the historical names. Except for there's a few projects like the Italy project does use current day names as opposed to historical names, because the historical names have changed so much and so often that the project leaders decided that that's the route they would go. But most other projects and most of the general guidelines on WikiTree is to use the historical names for your locations. So please do fill out locations. And where are you Wednesday? This middle of WikiTree week is a perfect day to update those locations. And we will show you sometimes some places and some apps that will highlight where those locations are missing from shortly. Okay, so now that we know that how to get to the locations and see the ones that are actually on your profiles, let's have a look at some tree apps. So I'm going to click on the tree apps tab here, and I don't know where I'm getting that gateway. I'm just going to refresh that page, and I'm going to type in 236. Actually, I'm going to go 337. And I want to go to there we go. what you're seeing here. So there's a whole pile of WikiTree apps, of course. I'm going down to the one right second last from the bottom, the WikiTree Plus Maps app. So this is one of the apps that actually gives you a full map as part of its. And when you first go into it, it gives you, it by default gives you the ancestor. So this is ancestor of Marcoux 336. That was my birth mother, Pauline Marcoux. And you can see from her the map, and you can just click and drag the map over and move it around. So there's this explosion of people in Canada, and you can see they're centered around Quebec and Ontario. In fact, mostly, the St. Lawrence, the Quebec part of the St. Lawrence. And then there's a bunch that came from France, not surprisingly, because we have ancestors profiles that go back to the founding of Quebec and into France. Now, there's a few strange ones on this map. I don't know of any ancestors that came from Puerto Rico. So one thing you can do when you are in the WikiTree Plus Maps app is you click on any one of those dots, and any of the profiles that are attached to that will pop up along the side. So here it looks like there's two. See, there's the number 2 there. 2 profiles. One is Etienne Amable Biguet, also known as Norbert, and Jean-Baptiste Georges Jacob, also known as Francoeur. So why are they showing up there? I think they're showing up there because the death place is listed as Lower Canada, and here, Lower Canada. And Lower Canada, again, is one of those historical names that apparently Google Maps or WikiTree Plus Maps does not understand. So it just gives a generic, I think this is the generic place in the middle of the world, or the middle of the ocean, where it doesn't understand where that is. But I'm going to show you, when we get to the WikiTree Plus server, I'm going to show you how you can actually change that and put the button on the correct place. So hold on to that thought. So that's why that one's out of here. This one here might be similar. This is also the location where if someone died at sea, they usually end up just out off the coast of Africa. So I'm not sure why this one, it could be the Nouvelle-France maybe, that's making it go there. It's hard to say. But most of these are just outliers. And
Greg,
yeah.
Do you want questions during, or do you want them at the end?
Sure.
Probably during, since they're gonna be asking.
Yeah, why don't we during while we're
specific.
yeah. So are we on a wiki? Sure. What's the question? Does this also figure out the timing of locations? Example, the Virginia until 1863 and now. The WikiTree Maps does not do that, but if we go to the location tables that Alesh has set up, then we can investigate the timing for that. And I have to find the link for that. I had that link open, and I think I may have closed it earlier.
Go to your history.
Oh, there's that. Okay. History. Oh my goodness. Oh, here you are. Location.
There's the histograms. He got them working.
The histograms that he said wasn't working this morning. Now they're there.
He's so quick.
That is funny. Yeah. That's funny. Okay, so here we are. This is the countries of the world table. So let me just throw that into here. And if we go to, let's see. So did Sandy have a specific place in mind? Virginia.
West Virginia. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's just see. If we go to North America, and let's see. If I do a search for Virginia. Is the United States separately? Separate? Oh, there, oh, it is. Hello. It's not right next to the link that said North America was a link that said United States. Here we go. Okay, so there's the colony of Virginia. Virginia colony. So, and if we went to...
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so there's a colony of Virginia. And if I do a location breakdown, that gives you a breakdown of how this was used or how it's written in different locations in different profiles. But that's not exactly what Sandy was asking for. She was asking for the time frame. That's spelling variation. Is that the one?
What's that first column on that?
First column, 150.
Oh, that's a number of. Are those?
Oh, well, here, these are years, right? So I'm, yeah, the year 1585 to 1776, July 4th. So those are dates. So between 1585 and Independence Day, it was officially called the Colony of Virginia. Yes, but it shouldn't have United States afterward, should it? I wouldn't think so until
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Likewise here, like the Dakota Territory, they're very specific here. 1861 March 2nd up till 1889 November 2nd. So there's some, and then here Massachusetts Bay, here's a whole breakdown by years. So does that help? I think that's, and let's see if we search further for Virginia. There's West Virginia, 1776 to 1863. That seems to go, yeah, no, that's right. So
It was Virginia until 1863, and now it's West Virginia. So I think.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, so it was West Virginia. It was Virginia by itself until it broke off. Got it. Okay, that I was thinking why stop at 1863, but now I understand. Okay, I hope that helps answer where to get those questions answered. There we go. Okay, so where were we? We were...
Yeah, she was saying this would also be a question for Poland, since there was a time when Poland was removed. And then there is another question.
Oh, okay.
Does it matter if you spell out United States or abbreviate like US, USA?
Excellent question. I think the preferred is using the United States, the full words. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, again, with Alesh has sort of a whole table of synonyms. So if you write it one way, but there's an acceptable substitution, then it'll make that substitution and map things out properly. And also the WikiTree Plus server queries will make those substitutions in many cases.
Yeah, it was cool. He changed to Mozambique right on the fly.
Yes, he did. He added the Portuguese spelling of Mozambique. So that was very cool. Okay, so where we were looking at here. So there's the list of the ancestors. Now, if I want to get rid of this side panel, I just need to scroll up to the top. Now, if you click the little hamburger menu, actually the side panel just slides away.
Oh, hamburger menu?
Yes. This little
funny.
thing here. Yeah.
I never heard it said. I never heard that before. That's
no?
cute.
Yeah.
I like it.
It doesn't actually, it's not actually a menu because there's no menu that pops out here, but that's what, yeah. Now, the default is ancestors, as I showed you, but you can also do descendants.
It would be cool if there was a button for CC7.
Yes, it would be cool. There isn't yet, but we could. That certainly would be a cool function to add to it. Where are those descendants? They said there was 2 descendants, but I don't see them.
It might just not have redrawn yet, right?
Or the other thing is that the
Privacy.
descendants, I think the descendants are probably, most of the descendants are living.
Well, there they are.
Oh, there they are. Okay. Oh, Pauline herself has passed away. And, oh yeah, so there we go. Because the rest of her descendants, me and my siblings, are alive. So you won't see living profiles on this particular map. And then there's the nuclear family and of course managed profiles. Now, Pauline doesn't obviously have a WikiTree account, but if I had done my own name, then I could map my own managed profiles on here, which is kind of cool to see.
That's cool. Yeah, that is cool. And there's just a little comment from Amanda. She said that they've had to expand all Australian states to proper name, at least as many as we found. And that's true because the abbreviation for Western Australia is also the abbreviation for Washington State. So
yes.
It definitely helps when it's spelled out. Because,
that's right.
Especially for suggestions and like unsourced category and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay, so this is a very powerful app. Now, one of the features that we haven't even talked about. Let's go back to Ancestry again. And let's get rid of hamburger. Open up this hamburger because this one actually does give me a. One of the things you can do is you can actually change what is being mapped. So you can map, like right now by default, it's mapping all the persons. And the background is actually coming from Google Maps. But if you prefer OpenStreetMaps, you could change it to that, which looks slightly different. Or there's a map called Stamen Map, which I'm not familiar with. But again, it has a slightly different background. This one looks sort of more of a historical type map, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. So if you were using this for a presentation or something, you might want to change that. And this little triangle here means that you can actually turn some features on or off. So if you turned off text, then you just get the blank map outline itself.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, if you turn off the water.
Oh, no.
Here would be a cool.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting.
Teacher, here's the names. Now draw the map, the body around the words.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So.
Or you get somebody on there with a lot of different location variety. Location variety. You'd really see that. You could see the countries that way without actually having. It's funny. Oh, we have another question.
Okay.
So since you mentioned presentation, any chance of adding something like this to profiles for migration paths?
Profiles for migration. Ooh. Profiles for migration paths. Interesting. So one of the under the persons option, the default is to show the migration lines. So that's what these arrows are. So are you, Sandy, are you suggesting just a single migration map?
For that ancestor?
For that ancestor. Ooh, that's kind of
like
cool.
Just an option to go view their migration. That would be cool, especially for somebody who moved a lot. It would be really awesome to see.
That's right. Well, there is a feature that some of the developers have been working on, and I think it's I think they may have added it to one of the extensions where it shows not just the birth, death, and marriage dates, but also it tries to plot out other events that it finds in a profile. So if we had locations attached to those, then you could certainly do a profile or a migration of a person's life. So that is an excellent idea for an app.
She says it might show our brick wall because they won't have one. Because they'll just have.
Interesting. So here's you can see here the color coding. If you notice that the arrows are different colors, and if I zoom in to a specific area like here, eventually it redraws. It takes a second and it says, okay, have you finished moving yet? Okay, now I will redraw the screen. So you can see there are some dark blue arrows, and there's some green, some gold, some pink, and those all refer to different centuries. So it's taken the people and color coded them by century, because I have that feature turned on. Now the other thing is you could also color code by generation, I think. But that's not.
We were so bummed for the last challenge reveal because it wasn't working for me.
Oh no! Oh, no. Yeah. The drawing by generation doesn't seem. I'm just getting the blue and the red, which is by birth and death location. So.
But if you have color by century, it does, right? And take off the birth and death migration.
Or maybe maybe that just shows me which ancestors are being displayed. So if I just limit it to,
oh, interesting.
Let's try that. Is that going to do it? Yep, that's what. Yeah.
There you go. Cool.
So we were just misunderstanding what it means. It means which generations to map. So it's not coloring by generations, it's drawing. So it's actually drawing them on the map or not drawing them, depending on whether you have...
you selected those generations or not.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if I click on the 9th generation, that's... some of those might be over in France. Let's just see what happens. Because there would be... the 3rd generation would be grandparents, great-grandparents. These gold ones would be the ones of the great-greats. Come on. There we go.
Woohoo!
So that's a lot. But that's 2 to the 9th ancestors, right? So that's 256.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not 256. It would be 512. Yeah. So some of them are in France. Some of them have just arrived in Quebec at that level. Okay. But there's a few. You can even, there's other options here. You can even map on cemeteries if we wanted to. I'm not going to do that because cemeteries are massive and will take a long time to redraw. But you can all color it by the also the locations. You can. There's lots of different things here, and there's an option for one-place studies as well. So let's see if I turn that off. Put on one-place studies. What's going to happen? Oh,
wait. Yeah. There's over 600 one-place studies now. So.
Look at that. Okay, so some of that is crazy, but let me just move up here. Sagen. Is that a Norwegian one-place study? Looks like it. How cool is that?
Very cool.
So it's going to take us a sec to, there we go. There's another one here. Uniford, one-place study. Okay, so, yeah, so this is very powerful, this map here. And then under geography, what do we have here? Oh, again, the place names and similar to determining which town, which maps to use as the baseline, but this also the additional geography on top of that. So if we were to zoom into Ireland, for example, then and we click on the townlands, then you're going to get a lot more detail. So if you have Irish genealogy and you're trying to locate different places, there's County Laois, Tipperary, County Kilkenny, all that sort of stuff. So and you can turn on or off any of these things. So
Pretty
doing US
cool.
counties. Very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. So thank you, Alesh, for adding that to the tree apps.
Awesome.
Isn't that cool? Okay, so we have a few other tree apps. So while we're here, let me do a quick tour of those. Let me first start with the ones that were pre-existing. So the CC7 app, and I'm just going to go down to 3. Load that up. And you can see that there are birthplaces and death places are included in the table. And one of the things, so you can quickly scan and see where things are missing. So look at, there's a missing birth right there, Uncle Ivan.
And you can sort by that column too.
You can sort by that column. And so that's one of the things that's new recently in the CC7 app is you can sort, one click on it sorts it alphabetically, A to Z. Another click sorts it in the opposite direction, Z to A. And when you do the sorting, blanks are before the letter A, basically. So you get the blanks all at the top. So all of these ones at the top are ones that are missing a birth location. So there's a whole pile of them that I have not entered. I am a bad
Slacker, Greg.
I'm quite a slacker. But then there's this little button here that I thought just meant refresh the data, but it does not mean refresh the data. It means reverse the order in which the data is written. So let me put it so that you can see York, Ontario, Canada. So York is a county in Canada, in Ontario. If I click on this button, it's going to reverse the order in which the location is written. So it'll go from largest to smallest. So it'll say Canada, Ontario, York. So
That's
then when
awesome.
you do, so when you what it means is when you hit the sort button, it'll sort
By country
Country.
first.
county.
See?
Yeah.
That's very clever.
Isn't that
Very
clever? And then a reverse sort works the same way. So the Zs happen first. I don't have any Zambia or Zanzibars. But I do have Upper Canada. That's the closest I get to the end of the alphabet in terms of countries. Upper Canada, which is now Ontario. And then United Kingdom, a bunch of United Kingdoms. My ancestry. There we go. So,
Cool.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. So, and then the death places work the same way. And we can reverse that. Interestingly, you can have them in different orders. So you could have the birthplaces in smallest to largest, the traditional way, and you could have the death places largest to smallest. So you could really mess with someone's head. So that's something new for the CC7.
And like Sandy was saying, it's a good way to find missing profiles that you have that are missing locations, which we have the challenge today. Where are you Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good tip.
Yes, thank you. So that's one way of finding missing ones. If you want to find missing ones from your direct ancestors, then the fan chart is a good way to go. So I'll just open up to say 6 generations, and one of the options in the settings is to color your background. So I have this one colored by great grandparents. You can see each of the great grandparents has its own unique sort of pastel-y color. But if I change the coloring from grandparent to location based, then there's lots of different options. So if I go to a birth country and hit save changes, then
wow,
that makes it really clear.
Then it's really clear. This bright white one here, Joseph Desai. I don't have a birth record for him or with a birth location. I've got a date, but I don't have a location there. So that one's obviously missing. If I go up to the 7th generation, then I've got a few other holes in my data.
That's cool.
And if I change to death country of death, same sort of thing. The white holes are the unknowns, so that's where you need to fill in the thing. But it's also cool just to see the pattern, right? So
yeah, it
you
is.
can see that everyone eventually came to Canada.
Yeah.
The bright yellow in this case is Canada. One of the options I am going to eventually build into the fan chart is the ability to customize the colors, so I can make Canada always red.
Nice.
And I can make Ireland always green and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We have a comment I just want to
Yes.
share. Steve Harris has stopped by to say howdy and kudos to Greg for all his hard work with the WikiTree apps.
Oh, thank you, Steve. That's very kind. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, it's fun. I enjoy it. Except when things crash like the
Mystery box.
like the mystery box challenge, because it's been too popular. Oh no. That's well. Anyways, that's a good problem to have, right?
That is a good
Doug is asking. He was listening on the phone until just a moment ago. The map you showed earlier was on WikiTree Plus, right? Yes, it was.
Well, yes and no. It was actually, I got to it from the tree apps on my profile, and then I chose the WikiTree Plus Maps app, which is in tree apps. But it is the same mapping feature that you can do from WikiTree Plus. So yes and no. Excuse me for a sec. Finnegan wants in.
Finnegan.
Come on in, Finnegan.
Aww.
There he is. Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
He was outside playing with our grandson, Leo. Okay, so one other thing that you may or may not know is you can actually map both the birth and death country at the same time on your phone.
Ooh.
So look at how this looks now.
Oh, wow. Now it's really colorful.
Yes. So what it is the inner color. If I open up the legend, this little icon up here gives you the legend, which, because I've zoomed in so much, makes a little covers up half the fan chart. But the inner country is your birth country. So you see the square, like Jean Cloutier. He was born in the solid red, which was Bas-Canada, which was what Quebec was called before Confederation, before we became Canada. And then the orange underneath it is Canada, and that's because he died after Canada became a country. It was no longer Bas-Canada, just with that region. It was now Canada. So that's how it sort of displays both countries at the same time. There's an inner and an outer section of the wedge.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's probably easier to see if you go over the full circle, because then there's a little more room there. You can see the red on the blue background. This teal over here is Joseph Marin on a red background, sort of thing. So that's another way you can see locations. And again, when there's white, those are missing. Those are the ones that you should fill in. So now there are two new apps that were added during Hacktoberfest that have locations connected to them. One is the Ancestry cemeteries.
Amanda, I think the reason why it was showing Bas-Canada twice is there was a dash in between.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's
you probably couldn't see that on your screen. Yeah, but there's Bas-Canada with a space, one with a dash. Yeah. Yeah. So now, I did not add for the Ancestor Cemeteries app. The way this works is it goes through all the profiles that it collects, and so it collects your ancestors up to 64 of them. So your 6 generations out, 5 or 6 generations out, and it looks for the cemetery categories on your profiles. Now, these ones I haven't added categories for, because these were the first group of profiles when I first joined WikiTree, and I didn't understand categories.
Yeah.
But now that I do, I should go back and add them to all of these, but I haven't yet. So let me put in my own, because I do have some. Do I not?
And you can sort by that cemetery
you
column,
can
right?
Sort by that cemetery if you have. Oh, do I just have the one? That's, okay, let me.
That's great, though. What a cool thing.
Yeah. 2, 3, 5, 8, 8, 8. There we go. There's one. So this is actually. There we go. We have a few. So the St. Columkill. This is this is my local cemetery. This is my adoptive one. So these are my adoptive parents, grandparents, great-great-grandparents. So we can sort by cemetery again. So bring them all up to the top, and you can actually filter as well. If I do a search.
Yeah, I love the search option on all the different. That's so cool.
Search for Upper Grove, and it's going to be right there. Or I could search for Bay, and then all of the Bay profiles are there. Clarke. So you can see that some of the Clarks are in the cemetery. This Clarke is not in the cemetery yet because that's me.
Oh, thank goodness. Stay out of it.
So that's one we don't want to fill in for a while yet. So there we go. So that's really neat. So kudos for this new app here.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. A neat feature in the future might be to connect this with the mapping app so that you could actually take this and then map them.
That would be very cool.
And I'm sure he's thinking of that. And the other one, which is the heritage charts, which is very cool because it gives you the breakdown of your heritage based on where your ancestors were born.
I love this one too. It's so cool.
Yeah, so there's no mapping connected to it, but it's very much a location-based app. So by default, it loads the first 5 generations of ancestors and then apportions your heritage based on their data. So you can see, yeah, Upper Canada and Canada, Province de Quebec, because at 5 generations, even though I'm fully half French Canadian, all of my French Canadian side were already in Canada, either in Province de Quebec or other place. So they were already here. You have to go back on mine. I think I have to go back like 8 generations to get to France, even more. But there's Nouvelle France there as well. And
it would be nice for. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Can you see that there's a little pop out there?
Yeah.
That little tiny sliver there is Nouvelle France, but it's Nouvelle France spelled, again, that one's spelled without the dash. The bright orange one is spelled with the dash, so they're really the same place. But
yeah. It would be cool if, like, when you're in WikiTree Plus and you can group by birth region or death region,
yes.
If you could do that for this too, because like Yoko's saying it's all the same country for and so if you could break it out instead of by country but by region, would be kind of neat. Have that option.
That would be neat, yeah. And I think he might be considering that as well. The other feature of this one is that you can, if you click on details and it show the heritage, it actually gives you a map, one chart per generation. So at the parent generation, both Canadian. Grandparents, both all born in Canada after 1876. And then at the great-grandparent level, that's where, that's someone unknown. Oh, that's because I don't have past.
That's really cool.
Past 1800 or something like that. Yeah, so that you can see it.
Very cool.
Isn't that cool?
Very awesome.
Great stuff.
And just to go back, we had a question from the chat. The color set on the fan chart they're not set, that you can choose your own, basically.
Not yet. No. That was a feature. My original version of the fan chart app, the standalone one, you could change and customize them. But I haven't been able to transfer that function over to the other one. So
gotcha.
It's on my to-do list. My very long list. Unfortunately. So there we go. So I think we're moving. That's all of the tree apps that deal directly with locations or maps. Some of the other ones may have sort of locations in passing, but those are the main ones there.
And Anne did mention the Slippy Tree. You can set the highlight by a location too. I think,
that is true. Yes, if we did go to the Slippy Tree, yeah. Similar to how I highlighted, you can highlight what am I saying? You get a color code on the fan chart in the Slippy tree. So here is, so I'm using my adoptive site again. So the Clarke McIsaac. If I go to here and I load ancestors, and load ancestors here on the McIsaacs as well, and then what do I do?
It's in the question mark.
Question mark. So I click question mark, and under highlight, you can highlight anything.
So many options.
Yeah. So there's that cemetery category again, for example. So if I did that, close that up. You can see the highlight is this green triangle.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the people that are buried in that cemetery, and you can see
cool.
all my parents, all my grandparents, and some of my great-grandparents. Grandparents, great-grandparents. In fact, I think, now that I think about it, I think almost all of these are. I think almost all of these are in that cemetery. There's a few that aren't. Yeah, Francis Bay, I think. No, he would be in.
You just might not have the category added, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't have the category added. So yeah. So yeah, thank you, Anne, for pointing out the Slippy tree has that location feature as well. But now, if we go to the apps menu, the one I was going to show off was Cemetery Mapping by Steve Harris. And it's load, it's thinking. So if we search for a cemetery, so how about I search for that same one that I had found earlier? Can I find it? I'm just going to find it. I go to, or maybe I need to wait. There it is. I just needed for it to load. I needed to wait for it to finish spinning. Okay, so if we zoom in, look at these numbers. Okay, so it's one of those. This is cool. This is one of those maps that the closer you zoom in, the numbers break up, like because they're clusters, right?
Yeah.
The clusters break up into smaller clusters and so on.
Kind of like a heat map.
Exactly like that. So those are always cool to find. But in the search box, I just typed for Columkill because St. Columkill, I mean, is the church, the patron saint of the church that I grew up in. A very cool name, but a very unique name. There's not a lot of St. Columkill churches or cemeteries around the world, so it makes it very easy to find. Except for why is mine not there?
It's a list right below that you select from.
Oh, I just have to scroll up and down. Hello, there he is. So if I click on that, now it takes me right there. Like this is a very zoomed in view. This here, Upper Grove Public School, that was my elementary school.
Very cool.
And in fact, yeah, my land is very, very close to this very map. This is very up close and personal. But there's the church, and then the cemetery is right in behind there. Of course, the address is right on the highway, but it's actually up this lane, up this hill. It's actually quite a beautiful view there. So, but if we zoom out, then you can see, oh, there's something else here. What's that? Atherley, there's a cemetery in Atherley with 2 documented burials. And then there is St. Andrew's and St. James Cemetery in Orillia with 78 documented burials. Now, I'm going back to St. Columkills, my old stomping ground. There's 22 documented burials in there. If I clicked on that, it would bring up the category and show you all of those. And when you're there, one of the options is My Connections. Now, I could have got to My Connections directly from here if I wanted to, but if I wanted to see the names before I went to My Connections, I could go to here to the category page. But clicking on My Connections takes you to a list of all the people that are buried there and whether they're related to you or not. So I'm connected to all of them, and some of them are direct cousins. Now, what's really cool is, well, this is kind of neat. This is, again, just this won't happen to everyone, but it's by default, it's using my WikiTree login. And my WikiTree login is linked to my biological father and mother, so the Marcoux and the Douglas side. But these are the people buried locally here from my adoptive family. And so I'm actually a distant cousin to these top two people are my grandmothers that I grew up with. So I'm actually a distant cousin of my own grandmother, and these are my parents.
So you can put in somebody else's WikiTree ID right there.
That's exactly it. So if I put in my adoptive profile here and hit go, then you're going to see that there's my mom and dad I grew up with, and my grandparents, and two great grandparents, and then all the rest of these distant relatives, many who I know. So that's kind of cool, seeing the connections there. Anyways, that's a great app, Steve. I really like this, and it's really well done.
He says he's working on a version of the map for birth and death locations that will be in the tree apps.
Oh, that's so cool. That'll be great. Thanks,
Awesome.
Steve. That will be very awesome. Very awesome indeed. Okay, so let's now take a trip over to WikiTree Plus.
Did you want to do the
what's that?
play study one?
Oh, right. Yes, we do want to do that.
If you just let me, I'll give you the link to it here real quick.
Is it in this list?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
It's on the project page, I think. I don't know if it's on there. It might be.
It's another hint.
Here, private chat.
Okay. Here we go. Ooh, very cool.
Woohoo!
Look at that. Okay.
Awesome.
Nice. Oh, okay, let's go back up to Norway again.
And Amanda was asking, do we have any Australia one-place studies? So we could answer her question that way.
Oh, wow, look at this. Those are very close. Like, these are individual farms in Norway. They must be, right? Farmlands?
If you go down to...
Okay, let's go down to Australia. We're visiting Australia.
Oh!
There's 23 in the... Oh, no. Then we break it up. Some are New Zealand. 7 in New Zealand. There we go.
Pretty cool. Yeah, and like Andy says, we start a new one-place study if you like. We always love to have more added. We'd love to have more in the Oceania area.
Yeah.
That'd be great. We just added another African country, so we have a couple
nice
for Africa. So it's nice to get more coverage.
That's great. That's an excellent app there, Steve. Fantastic. Now, does it have a search as well or no? I don't see a search. But I like how at the bottom here it has links to the one-place studies and would you like to create or participate one? So that's neat. Oh, wait a second. Did you see in China? Places are listed with the Chinese
characters.
Can you see that? Oh, no, every time I zoom in, it just redraws it at the same scale. So
that doesn't really help.
These are actually the Chinese, is it kanji? No, what's it called?
Kanji? Yeah.
Maybe.
Characters?
Script?
Yeah, I don't know.
Characters, yeah. The character, they sort of look like this, kind of. I don't know what the best way to... yeah. No, I don't see a search box on here. But that would be kind of cool to have.
Yeah.
But very, very cool. There we go. Okay. So should we get to the WikiTree Plus?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay,
Guys, I have to disappear because I have something coming up next.
Oh no. Okay, well, thanks for being with us, Eowyn.
Yeah, this was so fun. I love how to fiddle with little things now.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so WikiTree Plus. So once you get into WikiTree Plus, and there's lots of different ways to get there. If anywhere you see this symbol, the WikiTree Plus with the plus and a red plus sign and a red circle, click on that. It'll take you to the WikiTree Plus. I usually just start typing plus dot in my browser, and it just fills it in for me because I've been there so often.
Plus.wikitree.com.
But let's see. If I were just to go on my home profile, let's see, what would be the quickest way to get there from your home profile? Let's see. If you had, I guess if you went to the suggestions page,
or your suggestions page. Yep.
Suggestions page, there'd be a link there.
Right
there.
And it's right there at the top.
It's right there at the top. So I just click the link at the top, and that takes me right there. So, or if you're in biocheck, like there's lots of places. I wonder if you're in edit mode, if there's a button for it there. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But anyways, once you're here, usually what I do is I close up suggestions, because usually I'm not looking for specific suggestions. If you're looking to find profiles that have specific issues that you want to fix, you can do that through there. I usually open up the search tab though myself. That's what I work on most often.
Me too.
And the easiest one is just to put in your own user ID here under the text area. And I usually change the page size to be either 1,000 or maximal. And then I'm going to hit get profiles. And it's going to there's going to be more than 500 profiles. See how it says the maximum profiles is 500, which is the default? You can change that. You can make it 5,000 if you wanted. Depends on what you want to do. So it found 1,521 profiles for me, which is basically, I believe, my CC7 probably.
I think these are your ones that you manage or something.
Or maybe that's it, manager. Let's see, manager. Yep, looks like these are the ones that I'm managing, yeah. And ones that I've made changes for, it looks like that's noted there as well. So depending on what search you've done, you'll get a bunch of results. So the very simplest search again is the search for ones that you manage, because you just put your user ID there. But the real power is that no matter what search you've done, you can take all of those profiles and view them on the map. You just click the link that says WikiTree Plus map, and it will draw the map. Now, this is very similar to what we just saw at the beginning when I was showing you the WikiTree Plus maps in the app, and it works very similar. It's got the same layers. You can change the layers.
It's just that it's based on that query you did on the WikiTree Plus.
It's just that in this case, instead of being either only having the options for ancestors, descendants, and managed by, it's whatever query you gave it. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to change the query because I want to show you. I'm going to change it to Cloutier, which is one of my family names on my grandmother, biological grandmother. One of my grandmother's maiden name was Cloutier. So I'm going to click on that map. So that's going to give me 51 profiles. Now, at the very top of the hour, I talked about how when we looked at the original map and there were dots that were in the wrong places because they couldn't understand the mapping, the WikiTree Plus map didn't understand the traditional or the historic names. Mm-hmm. So here, there's a whole bunch of ancestors, apparently Cloutiers, that lived in on the tip of Newfoundland and Labrador. That's not true. They did not live there. So just like in before, if I click on that dot, it's going to pull up the list of all the people who were who belonged to that, were in that area, that vicinity. So there's a bunch of them. And I'm going to actually zoom in really large so that it actually, if you zoom in large enough, it'll actually give you a list of names.
Right.
And so I have to zoom in even further. Really far in. There we go. Now we're getting close. Let me just go a little bit further. Okay, here we are. So you can see the names and you can see the locations. The red are where they were born. The blue is where they died. Okay, so you see there's on the red side, I don't know if you could read Saint-Prosper, Saint-Stanislas, Saint-Tite, Saint-Geneviève de Batiscan. And on the right side, the burial places, Saint-Tite again, Château Richer, Saint-Stanislas. So what's common among all of them is that the location, the country, which is the last field, or the last item in the location field is Bas-Canada. So Bas-Canada was what Quebec was called before Confederation, before it became a country. So sometimes it went by Lower Canada, because at one point when before Canada became a country with a province of Quebec and a province of Ontario, along with New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, Canada was divided into Upper Canada, which was basically the Ontario area, and Lower Canada, which was the Quebec portion. And the Lower Canada, en français, would be called Bas-Canada. So most profiles for French people, you would write Bas-Canada because that was the historical name for it that they used at the time. But WikiTree Plus server, Google Maps, doesn't know that. But Saint-Tite is an actual place. So what I'm going to do is, so here's Charles, who is this for? I think it's Charles. So if I open up Charles, I'm just going to click on this right there. I'm going to show him on WikiTree. And I want to go to Saint-Tite. I want to change that one. So I'm going to open that up in Google Maps. So it gives me the right Saint-Tite from the profile page. It's just the WikiTree Plus server doesn't have that translation. So I'm going to figure out where to find this one. And the cool thing about this one, I did do this. This is Saint-Tite's going to be actually easy to find because look at. Let me zoom over a little bit. Okay, so there's Quebec City, there's Saint-Tite, and there's Trois-Rivières. So Trois-Rivières and Quebec City are fairly large cities in Quebec. Mm-hmm. And you connect the three of them, you get a right-angled triangle. Do that with the hypotenuse right at, or the vertex meeting at Saint-Tite, right across from the hypotenuse. In fact, the St. Lawrence River is like the hypotenuse of this right-angled triangle. So mathematically, that's very satisfying. So I know that's where Saint-Tite really lives. So I'm going to go back to the map. And I'm going to say, I want to fix that. So I'm going to correct the depth location. So I'm going to click that button, enter. So I clicked on that. I just clicked on it with my mouse. And now I have to see how it's, can you see it's carrying around? So I have to place that dot where I want it to go. Now this gets a little tricky because remember I'm way over here in Newfoundland and I want to be down here in Quebec. So I have to zoom out
without clicking on the screen.
Without clicking on the screen. And then I want to zoom in without clicking on the screen. So there's Quebec City. Okay. Where's Saint-Tite? Come on, Saint-Tite. Where's Trois-Rivières? Where's my Trois-Rivières? Maybe I didn't go far enough to get there's Trois-Rivières. Okay. See, Trois Rivers there. Where's Quebec City? There's Quebec City. So it should be right. Oh, it's going to be right underneath the legend. Oh, that's not going to be good.
Just give it a chance to redraw once you start scrolling in there. Yeah. There you go.
Really close. There it is. There it is right there. See, Saint-Tite, where that blue dot is. I'm going to click on that.
Yep.
Yes. Add.
Yay.
Okay. Update 60. Did you see that?
Yep. That's awesome.
Now, let's just see it to see that if it works. I'm going to open. I'm going. Here's my search for all the cloutiers. I'm going to open up that WikiTree map again, showing 51 profiles. That's how it went. And there's still a bunch that are over here in Newfoundland where they don't belong. But if I zoom right into that, I'm betting that the Saint-Tite people will be gone now.
I think it's just the one you did, though, not all of them.
No, it actually, because it's the location, if the location was entered the same way, then anyone that
listing
had...
one. The second one on the side there is listing.
Oh, shoot. Oh, you know what? It's the whole dash without a dash issue.
Thing. Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. See, the ones that are on this column here that had the dash, or didn't have the dash, they're gone.
They're gone. Yeah, that's cool that it does the whole group. So now you just need to do the other group with the others.
Yep, that's right. And if I do that for Saint Denis, like there's, I don't have to fix every single one of them. I just have to fix the location.
The one. That's cool.
So I think that's a really cool feature of the WikiTree Plus server, so that you can actually map the historical places to their real places.
So is that doing that now for everybody?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. So the Google search that's from the profile page must use the regular Google Maps, which must use some additional logic to map.
Figure it out.
To figure it out. But the WikiTree Plus server doesn't have all of that Google Smarts in the background. So it doesn't have a massive table for it to do that. So. But yeah, so there's so much power in WikiTree Plus. And we haven't actually even talked about the details about how to use WikiTree Plus and whatnot. But luckily, there is a regular series called Ask Alesh, where we had one just this morning, and the first Wednesday of every month. So if you want to go watch that playlist and find out a whole pile of details about how to use WikiTree Plus, and then you can map all of those results.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because you guys showed that, I think, in one of the previous episodes of the Ask Alesh. I think I remember
changing the location.
Yeah.
I think we did, but I wanted to show it here just for people who aren't regular watchers of Ask Alesh, because it is. Yeah. Oh, kudos to Alesh indeed. Steve says, while we're here, give kudos to Alesh. WikiTree Plus is literally the best thing since sliced bread. He's still teaching new ways to use it. Oh, every day. Yeah. Every month. I always learn something new.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. So that is the end of my scheduled world tour. Are there any more questions?
That was all the questions so far that I had seen. So
was there anything, Azure, that you were thinking I should cover that I missed?
I think you got it all.
Yeah.
I think you did great. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, it's fun. I mean, I always love a good map, and WikiTree is great that way, that you can find so many things, you can visualize so many connections. The My Connections section is very cool there. So now the My Connections what would be neat with My Connections is if in the My Connections here, if we had mapping just like with the WikiTree Plus, you could go to WikiTree Plus Maps from a WikiTree query. It'd be nice to be able to go to, take this collection of My Connections and map that.
Well, you could, because you can do a WikiTree Plus search for this category.
Oh, right. Yes.
And then you could go to, you could also add to the query your ancestors. I think it's family. There's a search term for family or ancestors, or
right.
There's definitely CC7 that you could add to the search.
Mm-hmm.
So you could search this category for your CC7.
Right.
in WikiTree Plus and then do the map view.
Right, of course. Yes, you could do that. You could search for a category. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but it'd be cool to add that little bit, that link from here.
That link so you could go straight. Yes.
To it.
Okay. We'll have to think about have to write that down.
Hint.
Okay, so next on for WikiTree Wednesday would be, is it the roundup?
Well, I was just going to share my screen real
You go
quick.
right ahead. Yes. Okay. I will turn it over to you.
Right at the top of the G2G, Aowen has posted her day post for today, the WikiTree Week Wednesday, which is Location Day. You're sensing a theme there.
Yeah, that's right.
So we have it's a couple challenges today. And remember, as you answer these G2G posts, it's an entry into for a door prize. So go out and answer them, and even you can answer the day's previous posts. Ooh. So you can get your entries. So it's the Where Were You Wednesday challenge today, and that is using the challenge tracker. So as you update those locations, we showed you how you can find profiles that need locations. You can use a tracker to enter that you did that for that profile. There's a G2G post out there for the ancestor homestead wall, which I think is really cool. Share a story or photo about an ancestral home or farm.
Nice.
There's migration story showcase. Share a story of an ancestor's migration. We'd love to hear from you all about all of that. And then, like I mentioned earlier, have you been wanting to start a one-place study? You can start that today. She's got that linked there. Just a little bit of a warning there. They are addictive. Once you get started one, you start thinking, oh, this would be a one-place study. And it is better to start small. So I would recommend, if you haven't done one before, start with a house. Or a building. So you can do the history of that house, all the people who've lived in it, over time. So it's just a great way to do it. You can then do a street or a neighborhood. So just kind of think about that. And then if you have a special interest in a country, ask to start a part of a global project, the country project. So some countries already have coordinators, but some don't. So there's a link there to join the project or help start one. And then today we have another cubicle party, just like every day this week. We're having a cubicle party. It's on Zoom. Just come join us. We'll work on, maybe you want to come work on Where Were You Wednesday challenge profiles, or maybe you're still wanting to scan some more images from Monday. So definitely come join us. We'll just chat and stay as long as you like. But there is the 8 p.m. Eastern roundup with Aowen and I. We'll just talk about what people responded to the post for the day in the previous days. We'll share those. So join us for that. And be sure to share your selfies. That was on Tuesday, so the link for that is on that day. And the symposium presentations, just want to remind everybody, they're up for 30 days. So if you haven't had a chance to catch them all, you can get that. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this live cast. I don't have anything else. I think we're good to go.
I think we're good to go. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Good. Thank you very much, Azure. Great having you here, and Aowen too. Yes. Super.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. See ya.